Where did the name Chef Papi come from initially? How did that happen?
I kind of fell into it. I was actually a musician growing up.
Oh shit!
I was like playing bachata and típico when I was a teenager.
Nice.
I actually played in a music ministry for many years, also in church and stuff. So I was always surrounded about music. That was like my first love.
Okay.
And I was going to John Jay College. I wanted to be a cop, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like a lot of people that I know. Yeah, they're cops, and then they're like musicians on the side. That's like their side hustle. And if you're not in the culture, you don't understand that like papi is something we call each other.
Facts.
And mommy too. Like all the morenos will come in the store like, yo, what's up, papi? Good morning.
Facts.
They will talk to my mom like that. Mommy, what's up? Whatever. Don't put too much mayonnaise on my sandwich, papi. Like that's how they spoke to us.
You put too much on it last time, papi. It's 2026. It's the new year. The first thing I always like to do is give thank you first and foremost to God, the YouTube listeners, the TikTokers, the Instagrammers, and all the supporters all across the world. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, following, all that good stuff. Now, today, we have a legend from Queens. You guys may know him as Steven Rodriguez, but we all know him as Chef Papi. Chef Papi's in the building. Chef, what's going on? Round of applause to you, baby. What's going on?
Hey, saludos. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me.
Aquí se habla de todo, English and Spanish, and a little bit of French if you could speak it.
No. That's too much.
What's going on, brother? How are you, first and foremost?
Good, blessed, man. Can't complain.
Can't complain. Now, I wanna dive into like a lot of things about your story. Before Chef Papi the brand, let's talk about Steven Rodriguez. Who were you before the vision, the restaurant, the name, the brand? Who were you before all that? Where are you from?
I was born and raised in Queens, New York. Immigrant Dominican parents who worked their ass off just to put their kids through college. That's all they cared about. That generation, at least.
Our generation. Yeah.
Of
course.
No, man. My dad has a bunch of brothers and sisters. My mom too. So it's a big family. A lot of cousins, a lot of celebrations. It was just always surrounded by family and food and hard work.
What part of the are you from? Or your family?
My dad's from Sajoma. My mom's from Jarabacoa.
Nice.
I spent a lot of time in Jarabacoa though, as a kid.
You ever got to live out there as a kid?
No, not really. Just like long summer and long winter vacations is pretty much as like I don't think I ever went anywhere else until like after like my 20s. I started traveling other places, but every year is DR,
It's crazy because me and my sister had the same experience. Our parents took us a lot to DR when we were younger. And then when we asked them about it recently, they told us the secret of why they could afford to do that every year, like twice a year. It was because the airfare for kids under 12 back then was completely free.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
So think about that. If we had that now, we'd be out there with our kids all the time. Pero no, eso era algo así antes. And they used to go every year. We used to be in Santiago because we're from Santiago. My parents are from Santiago, but my grandparents are from like Puerto Plata area, El Cibao. So we actually got a chance to live out there. That's why I asked you if you actually lived out there. But we enjoyed every summer, every winter we could. It brought us closer to the culture at that point. I'm guessing you had kind of like the same experience every summer going over there and everything.
Yeah. Actually, like, I was never taught to like read or write in Spanish. I kind of just like learned it because I was around it.
Yeah.
I'm very well cultured. Like actually people that are from there, like born and raised that come here, like when they interact with me, like in a Dominican culture vibe, they always ask me like, were you born here or were you born over there?
Yeah.
So when I get that, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I'm not like one of those like, fake Dominicans. Like I'm like really like Dominican, bro,
Facts. We actually got a chance to live out there. I got to live out there to the first 2 years of high school. My sister was in elementary school, right?
That must have been a vibe, bro. That's the one thing that I wish like I would have had like from my childhood was like, damn, wouldn't have her to like live in DR.
Yo, listen, it brought us so much closer to the culture that now as we're parenting, right? I like to take my kids as much as possible out there. They may not get the opportunity to live out there like we did, Pero the closer, like you had that experience where the more you go out there, the closer to the culture you feel. So now it's like, yeah, we could travel anywhere in the world now as adults, but there's something about DR that always lands us right back there. And I feel like everybody has that experience. So before the name, where did the name Chef Papi come from initially? How did that happen?
I kind of fell into it. I was actually a musician growing up.
Oh shit!
You know, I was like playing bachata and típico when I was a teenager.
Nice.
I actually played in a music ministry for many years, also in church and stuff. So I was always surrounded about music. That was like my first love.
Okay.
And I was going to John Jay College. I wanted to be a cop, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like a lot of people that I know. Yeah, they're cops, and then they're like musicians on the side. That's like their side hustle.
That was the route. Yeah.
So that was like my thing, right? My dad had a little supermarket in Brooklyn. Yeah. And he had a partner that he was trying to get rid of.
Okay.
And he was like not in a good place, and so I actually dropped out of school for a while to like help run the family business. And they sold a lot of rice and beans out of the back of that store. And, you know, we got a lot of customers. There was like a couple schools nearby. All the sanitation workers, cops, they all went there to eat. Like it was like the spot.
Right.
So I saw like the opportunity to brand it.
Okay.
Because it wasn't being done.
At what age was this?
That was...
Because something must have gotten to your head, like a light bulb went off and said, let me brand this. It's good food, good vibes. What age was that about? Roughly.
I want to say maybe like 2012-ish.
Okay.
2011, around there.
Okay.
It was when that, like, I was like really like heavy into that. Probably even a little earlier. I graduated high school 2005. So a couple years right after that. Okay. I was kind of like always doing my own thing. And then I kind of like, you know, put my stuff on the side to like, you know, for the family, whatever. And
as most of us do.
So yeah, so I wanted to brand it. And because we were in East New York in Brooklyn, it was like the hood, like we were across the street from Cypress Hills Projects.
Right.
Like people don't understand, if you're not in the culture, you don't understand that like Papi is something we call each other. Facts. And Mommy too, like all the Morenos will come in the store like, yo, what's up, Papi? Good morning.
Facts.
They would talk to my mom like that. Mommy, what's up? You know, whatever. Don't put too much mayonnaise on my sandwich, Papi. You know, like that's how they spoke to us.
You put too much on it last time, Papi.
So when I branded the operation, I named it Papi's Grill.
Oh. Nice.
So that's what it was. And I didn't even have Instagram. I started Instagram because of that. And I was building it, and around that time, it was like it was like when business really started like helping. No, Instagram started helping businesses.
Okay.
So I started posting a lot, and then I would get hit up a lot by like food bloggers, because I would just do stuff that like I felt was Instagrammable, things that caught my eye. I started doing it. 100%. You know, like so I would make my spin on whatever that was Dominican. I tried to make it like. You know, cool and trendy and whatever. So I started creating stuff and
those were the Vine days too.
Yes.
Where it was like a 6-second video. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was fire too.
So it was important to like, you know, have a sandwich and kind of like open it up and see the cheese coming, and people would just, you know, you get clicks and shares. So a lot of bloggers started hitting me up like, oh, can we come and shoot content? You know, because they needed the content and we needed the promo. So it was kind of like an even thing.
Right.
And then so my page started growing from there. And then when I started working at a restaurant, my first restaurant that I started working at, it wasn't mine. I'm saying I was like,
you was working there.
Yeah, I was working there. Yeah. I hadn't changed my name on Instagram. It was the Instagram of the deli.
Okay.
It was Papi's Grill NYC or NYC Papi's, something like that.
Right.
And one day there was one of the servers came into the kitchen, and I'm there like doing my thing, and she's like, Chef, like trying to get my attention. I wasn't alone. I was with other chefs. So,
but were you a chef at that point?
I didn't even have the balls to call myself a chef.
Okay,
that's why I wasn't responding to her because I was doing my own thing, and in my brain I'm like I wasn't responding to it.
Who is she talking to? Right.
So then after she says chef a few times, she goes Chef Papi, and I was like,
wow.
So it clicked and whatever, and then I looked back and she was talking to me. Nice. So I forgot what she was asking. The point was that after that night, I go to my car, about to go home, and I'm like, I go on Instagram and I checked to see if Chef Papi was available, and it was. So I'm like, bro,
this is it. The vision is aligning.
Yeah, it just happened, bro.
Nice. You know, when people hear Chef Papi now, people think, you know,
que yo soy un papi chulo, que yo me di ese nombre, que yo soy un... Bro, people knew I'm mad shy, bro. I don't even like... You know, I'm good with people because I have to be in this industry or whatever, but yo no soy un agentado de eso, que llegué yo. Like, bro, that shit makes me cringe. I actually, like, I'm a loner. I'm like, man, like... That's a fact. I don't really, like, if I don't have to mingle, I don't.
You know what's crazy? That feeling right there that you just speaking about being a loner, that came for me as I got older. Like, the older I've gotten, the more away from people I want to be. I don't know, it's something weird. Like before, a mí me gustaba estar en los coros. As a matter of fact, being in DR, or even in the military, because I went to the military. Like when I stepped away from NYC, I missed the camaraderie of the block and todo el mundo afuera, los viernes, los sábados, los domingos. Like I always wanted to be around people, but now you ask me that same question, I'm like, get away. Everybody get away from me. I don't like to be around people that much either. And I think that comes with age and stuff like that. But back to your story, because when people hear Chef Papi, yes, that was one of my main questions, like of how that name came about. But, you know, people immediately think the brand, you know, the restaurant, you know, éxito, ¿verdad? But what's something about your story that people don't generally know about you?
This is my first restaurant. And it's been a struggle since day one. And I actually, like I said, I fell into it because it wasn't planned. It just happened. What happened was that after I left school for a couple of years, I went back and I graduated and everything. But by the time I did, I was already so invested in the business that I had really started a project and I wanted to see it through. Like, and I'm just not a quitter. Like, it's just like,
right.
I had to keep going, and I just felt like it was too late for me to like do what I wanted to do.
Right.
So like, I don't even play music anymore, and it's not because I wouldn't want to.
Right. You don't have the time
I didn't
right now.
become a cop, and it's not because I didn't want to.
Right.
It just like, you know, the business kind of like, I get obsessed with shit. Like, I'm just like, you know, if I'm doing something, I'm gonna go all in on it, whether it works or not. But I'm gonna see it through, you know.
Right, even if it fails.
So yeah,
it became your passion at that point.
It just like it happened. So, you know,
you couldn't shake away from it.
No.
And then, like you said, you like to finish something that you start. You're not really a quitter. That's kind of like my story here with this podcast. You know, as it started like fluorescing into what it is now, I always wanted to see it through. Whatever the outcome was, I always wanted to see it through because I'm not a quitter either. I'm gonna go finish that project. It may take some time. It may take a lot of time because there's a lot of investment that comes with it, right? But I'm not a quitter. I'm gonna see it through and I'm gonna see what it becomes. And whatever it is at that point, that's what I created. That's how I feel. With you though, the restaurant business, you said it was a struggle from the beginning because I know that's a very, very hard industry to even get into. And now you're invested in it. But you spoke a lot about the culture, the Dominican culture being in you since you were little. What's a memory that you have where you could say, wow, at this moment, I fell in love with making food? Because you said you wanted to be a cop, John Jay, all that stuff, but you took a different route. And it was like not even in your plans. But now it's kind of like it's your passion now. It shows.
Well, it was always around me. I mean, it was around me because like all my uncles and aunts and they all had little bodegas and little restaurants, like, you know.
You come from a family of hustlers. In the bodega industry.
And like I said, it was a big family. So like, you know, I remember like every other weekend, there was something going on somewhere. You know, it was just somebody's birthday or so a barbecue at somebody's house. And I remember being a child, like most of the time, like helping my dad or my mom the night before a big barbecue or something, like get ready and prep stuff. And
Right.
you know, my dad's family, especially, they were very poor growing up, and
Right.
you know, my dad has told me stories of, like, you know, his father passed away when he was like 5, 6 years old. So, you know, my dad has been like, he didn't go past the third grade. You know, they were working the fields, like, en lo que lo dicen conuco allá, like, since they were like 7, 8 years old. And he would tell me stories of, like, of my grandmother, like, frying an egg and splitting it in two between him so he could share with his siblings, because there was a bunch of kids and there was not enough, you know, to go around. Especially around that time, because it was like just her and then all these kids, and like all the kids had to go to work to like help out. And so, like, you know, it was just like, I was never like, although like I didn't have like a rough, like, I don't think we were poor growing up. I think that maybe my brother and my sister, they struggled a little more because they're like 8 years older than me.
You're the youngest?
So, yeah, out of the three. So I think that maybe they experienced more of the, like, I don't know, maybe a little bit of negligence or whatever, right, because of, you know, they were my father was probably building more around that time.
Right.
But, you know, I don't think I ever struggled as far as like, oh, I grew up poor or couldn't have something because if my family couldn't provide it. I think it was more like, I saw all the hard work around me all the time. Like, I remember being 7, 8 years old. It was Saturday morning, and my father didn't go take me to the bodega with him. I would call him like, yo, I was crying like, yo, you don't love me. You didn't take me to work with you. Yeah. Like, that was, you know, I was just like, this was like in my blood, bro. Like,
you know what's crazy, as I'm hearing you share that story, because our parents, and this is me, it's hitting me now as you're saying it. Our parents were great at hiding struggle from us. So,
which is probably not a good thing. I actually, like, I'm very vocal with my kids. Like,
okay, so that's another thing. We're gonna dive into parenthood too, because when I look at my parents, and now at 43, I understand everything that they went through. Us growing up, we didn't feel none of that. They just wanted to provide, protect, and propel us into what the future was in their vision at that point. So when you say you didn't, you had older siblings that probably felt more of that pressure, or they saw more than you, and you being the youngest. But even I believe our parents in general, they were great at hiding struggle from us. They were great at just suffering in silence. And like you said, with our kids now, it's like we want to like make sure they understand the struggle and see the struggle so they could appreciate it more, because I feel like it's reversed with us. It's like if we would have seen more of that, and we wouldn't have been so like, I guess like blindfolded to the fact of life at that point, we would have appreciated much more, much earlier in life rather than later. So now it's funny you say
we grew up more naive to the real world because of that. Like, you know, because, you know, okay, I think a father's main job is to, I think both to protect and to provide. It's like you can't really put one over the other. But it's like that's our main role. As a man, that's your role. Yeah. Protect and provide. That's it. So it's like, I think that, you know, that generation, I can't blame my father. Like I said, his father died when he was like 5, 6 years old. So he didn't have a father to, like, if he was, you know, lost or confused or felt a type of way about anything, he didn't have a dad to go. So I couldn't, you know, after, you know, having my own kids, I can't like expect for him to have known how to create that for us, you know. Wow. You know, so.
How many siblings did your father have?
He's probably like 9, 10, maybe 11 if you count like, I think 11 if you count, because, you know, my grandmother remarried, obviously, and then she had like a few more kids with my other grandfather, who's my grandfather too. He's the only one that I knew, so I always called him Papa. He's still alive. He's the only one of the 4 grandparents that I have that's still alive.
Okay. So, you know, parenting is tough, and we're going to get to that in a moment. Just to touch on a little bit about your journey initially, right? was there ever a point in this journey, as you look back now, that you said this is definitely not going to work? I know you said you're not a quitter, but was there a moment that you said, you know what? Let me go back to whatever I was going to do because this is truly not it for me right now?
No, man. After I was in, I was in. I'll be honest with you. My first restaurant that I was at, where Chef Papi was born, I want to say.
Because I remember when even the catering back in the day, when you used to go to people with the food and cater to an entire.
Yeah, that was during COVID. I was working out of the kitchen of my house. People were stuck at home, so they were celebrating at home. And I was doing a lot of private dinners. People who felt comfortable having a stranger in their house during COVID. Right. They were okay with it. I don't want to talk. You was
masked up, gloved up,
bro. I don't want to talk politics unless you're cool with it. I really don't care. I'm very vocal.
We could talk,
but during that time, the people who were okay with it, they weren't, crazy, and they were cool with having people around.
Right.
I was physically in their homes doing events, and if not, people that were just we'll order catering. I was working out my house, out my kitchen, and I was bringing stuff to them, and it was, it was a time. It was it was weird because it was a time where although we were kept let's say away from each other,
yeah,
a lot of people came together in weird ways.
Yeah.
So. That was interesting.
It either made you or broke you up. That time frame in the pandemic, right? It either got you closer to people or just.
Yeah, and I think that defined a lot for a lot of people. I know it was easy for a lot of people because it was there was a lot of money being given out and stuff like that, whatever. But a lot of people did capitalize. The people who did have or see the opportunities, they did capitalize on whatever they were up to. Right. I saw it as an opportunity, for example, and I think that was one of my best times. Honestly, that was a transition for me because I was at a restaurant. It got shut down a few months before COVID, actually, because they were gonna remodel, whatever, and then they weren't able to reopen. And then it was another opportunity where there was a restaurant in the Heights that they were gonna shut down too, and they were gonna give this one more thing a try. What are you gonna do? And actually. There were people that I knew in the industry. It was 2 or 3 of us. We got together, and I was yo, let's do a ghost kitchen. And we opened the ghost kitchen. So before even the city allowed people to dine in or do outdoor dining, before that even happened, we were already killing it, selling mad food online. I created 4 different concepts of Latin fusion food, Mexican, Dominican, this and that. And we just were. We were killing it, bro. Then when we got the outdoor dining, we kind of transformed that place into a whole vibe, bro. And it was just crazy. Vibe. It was crazy. But like I said, it was always a struggle because although I learned a lot, no project that I was a part of was really not something that worked out except for maybe one.
Right.
The thing is that people don't understand. They always associated me with the establishment, so they thought that, for example, I was the owner of these places, and I never was. This is like I said, Casita RD is my first restaurant, but these other places I was there for. I had a 2-3 year contract, whatever.
Right.
I was the executive chef, and some I had a small partnership of sales.
But you were known.
Yeah,
that's why people associate it with
the place. And the thing was, it's not a coincidence that after I left, the place is plummeted.
Exactly.
After I would leave a place, it just didn't do well anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm not gonna say, because it's not.
It was what it was. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
They were there more for.
So I went through my fair share of people who saw an opportunity to work with me and that they own these establishments, and I guess they kind of just took advantage of that rather than actually probably respect me or see me as an equal or as an important piece. And I guess that's why,
the most important piece.
Karma. It is what it is.
Right? I guess. Yeah.
But like I said, I never stopped that pursuit of no, bro, I want to create something.
So you're good at pivoting when it's time.
Bro, is that you know what it is? Is that like it's hard no matter what. So it's like, bro, it's hard no matter what. It's hard to have a full schedule. It's hard to have an empty one. I'd rather have a full schedule and like if I gotta pay my bills, I can pay my bills, and rather than be a victim of society. Like I'm not that guy.
Through all of this, right? As I'm hearing, right? Would you say so? The pandemic obviously gave you a big boost and propelled you into your next phase, which was Casita Rede at that point, right? We'll get to that in a moment. When in this trajectory did you become a dad?
Oh, I've been a dad for almost 12 years.
Estamos iguales, because my oldest is about to be 12 next week, actually.
Yeah, my oldest son he was born in 2014.
So your oldest saw all of these changes in you as he was growing up. Meaning the pandemic.
He's getting the best version of his dad now.
Yeah.
Honestly, the past 10 years that actually have been, I don't want to say a struggle. It's just part of the fucking.
It's part of the business.
It's part of the.
It's up and down.
Everybody, everybody has,
it's beautiful on Instagram. Everybody gets to see the last piece of it, like the edited, fully like toned down version of what you created, but people don't know what it took for you to get there. People don't know how much blood, sweat, and tears it took for someone to do anything at that point. Even this, like people think, oh, this is beautiful. Yeah, but it wasn't at some point. At some point, it was just, I could show you videos of me being in my living room, just recording stuff on my phone. But it's gotten to this point, but people don't see that. And it's cool. You don't have to see that. I just have to know that I went through it so I can know how to move in different phases of this business, of course. So when you look at yourself in the past, only you know that story. Only you know that struggle that you went through. People are always going to assume, hey, Chef Papi, yeah, el coro, the vibes, Casita Rede, and who knows what you have coming up next, right? Which people don't know about, but they'll never know about that story or even feel that struggle. They'll just be connected to you as you are now. And then people will chew you up when they need you, and then te tiran pa un lado cuando no te necesitan. That's life. You just got to know that early. So when you're with your child, how did fatherhood play a part in all of this for you? How did it shift success for you in a way? Because as a father, you said we're here to provide and protect.
Yeah,
right?
It just made me more relentless in the fact that I think that in anything in life, even any goal that you may have, whether it's a diet, fitness, whatever, is like if there's nothing or if there's no one, especially I was saying nothing because there's a lot of reasons, but like if there's not like someone keeping you accountable, yeah, you could do it, but the days that where your inner bitch voice is gonna be like, it's all right, mañana, on those days is when having an accountability partner or someone that depends on you, a life that depends on you, literally, being there as a symbol of like, get up, let's go. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the day. That's when it counts, So I think that's all it did. Having kids was just more like, it just really helped me. It's just like on the hard days, it'd be like, I gotta do it anyway. Gotta do it.
There's no way around this. I gotta do it anyway.
Yeah.
So you may bitch about it in the bathroom by yourself. You get out of there. You gotta dust yourself off and come out there and be a dad, be a father, be a provider, of course. But so let's stay on parenting, because you mentioned something earlier that I feel our generation is dealing with a lot, which is showcasing the struggle journey to our children, right? And so would you prefer your child to have seen all of your struggles and get to know? Because as they're growing up, kids really, I have a 12-year-old myself. She's about to be 12. I could see a little glimpse of her understanding what it is to struggle, but she really doesn't know like what I've been through. As a matter of fact, we're trying to like showcase what our parents did for us to our children too, so they can know struggle. And they're like, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. They don't give a damn. And that's kids. But what part of your struggle would you say you would want your kids to truly know about you?
I want to say all of it, including the bullshit. Like marriage is hard, you know.
Marriage
like
is
all
hard.
of that, like even the struggles that I've been through with their mother, you know, the everything. Like my oldest son, he's he's 11, so he wants the Meta glasses, he wants the iPhone,
He wants everything.
They want everything. They want the Jordans. They want everything. So it's like, so you know, he's also at a point where he wants to like do his own thing, and I like that. He wants to make his own money, this and that, whatever. Nice. So like he has certain responsibilities where he gets like compensated for or whatever. But recently, he said, "Yo, I want to do more." Yeah. So I started taking him to work with me.
Nice.
So
he's struggling.
Like, oh, how much am I getting paid? And I'm like, he's like, what's minimum wage right now? It's like, I heard it's $17.
Oh, he's like, charging you the minimum wage.
I'm like, you know what? I respect that. So, I'm paying him the minimum wage.
Okay.
And this and that, whatever. But like just recently, in the past few days, I'd
have been like $3. $3 is the minimum wage.
There was some discrepancies at home and shit, right? And
yeah.
And I had to let him hear. I was like, bro, it's a privilege to work, bro.
That is true.
I was like, look in the mirror, like, yo, look in the mirror. You have more than what you need. 100%. My job is to feed you, put clothes on your head, on your back, put a roof over your head. I don't gotta do all that extra shit. And if you want to work, like also me bringing you to work and you making your own money, that don't make you a big, tough, independent dude. I'm bringing you to work. That's also a privilege. There's people who, they can't physically do it because they're physically impaired. Yeah. There are people who are out there looking for jobs right now and they can't find a job. And for you to like have everything that you need and on top of it getting paid for a job that, that you're privileged to have because I'm giving it to you. Yo, bro, you better.
Yeah. It's weird, man, because kids, they'll understand later.
Absolutely.
They'll always understand later.
But if you don't,
you appreciate your dad more now.
You gotta drag them through the mud too, bro. Because, I'm sorry. Like I told them, this year is different. Things are gonna change around here. Like, we're not, everybody's gonna earn their way here.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you're not just gonna sit at the dinner table and wait for dinner. Like, get your ass up, grab a plate, come and see, serve yourself. Put your food, put your plate away. Clean up your spot and your table. I shouldn't be telling you to go brush your teeth and go shower and do the things that you have to do. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
That's it. Things are.
You know what's crazy?
We're not gonna have the same problems this year that we had last year. The whole point of problems is solving it and moving on to dealing with bigger ones.
Exactly.
Not the same ones.
Not the same ones. We're gonna move forward and deal with the next one. That's all it is. Because there's always gonna be some problems.
Exactly.
There's always gonna be some problems.
How do you prepare for the bigger things in life? If you're not taking care of the little ones as you go,
Exactly.
Then all you're gonna do is face the bigger problems, and you're gonna have a bag full of all this bullshit that you're dragging with you. Like, nah, man, like
become some sort of like problematic adult just because you don't know how to deal with or face problems at all. See, I am big on teaching by consequence at this moment in my life. So I love when you fuck up so you can learn the lesson. That's what I am on right now. So whenever the kids mess up or whatever, like they talk back, whatever they do, if they mess up, there's a consequence and you're going to know about it. I'm doing less screaming this year. I'm doing less like getting agitated. I'm going to tell you once and that's it. My daughter's big on getting money too. Like her and her mom, they go out and work on the side job that my wife does, decorating trees and stuff, decorating. So now she's going with her and she gets her tips. She gets $20, $30, $40, $50, $100. So now she feels like she's doing something, but she's also, I could see it in her. She's also like kind of like a little go-getter, but it's because there's some money attached to it. There's a reward at the end attached to it. With us, I remember going to the cleaners with my dad at a very young age, and he would teach me what working was and all that stuff. He never gave me no money or anything, but anything he found in the pockets, because there was always something in the pockets in the cleaners, because él planchaba. 20 pesos, 30 pesos, he used to give me half. He's like, whatever I find, that you'll get half of that. So that was like kind of like my motivation back then. But now with these kids, you got to incentivize this. Una muela easily $20, $25 right now because these kids are crazy. Oh, let me take off my tooth here, $25. I'm like, what? Who's telling you the prices? Oh, grandma. So now it's like we're stuck. You see what I'm saying? So it's like kind of like a mess. You appreciate your dad more now, being a parent, or do you appreciate your parents more?
Yeah, both of them, obviously, because my dad was a man of few words. My mom was always the one giving us the
full lecture.
The full lecture or whatever. So actually I feel like when I talk now, I sound like my mom all the time.
It comes out.
I'm like, dang, I sound like my mom. And I think that, a lot of the way my mannerisms, everything, I'm just like, I look in the mirror and I see my dad, bro.
Shit.
It's crazy, bro. It's scary, bro. It's like
scary. It's fucking scary. A lot of my dad is showing up right now in me.
Even the way I lash out the same way he did. Like, it was just like, it's just like,
It's because it worked back then. So when it works back then and but it's kind of like sometimes the approach is too harsh coming from me to my kids. And that's my dad coming out. But then it's because in my mind it worked back then, so it should work with you when I come out all strong and like overpowering. It's because coño me tienen alto. Ustedes no entienden a la buena. Let's get to it, like because our parents weren't with the shits. Like a mí me daban con todo en la casa, correazo, me daban chancletazo, con cuchara, con de todo.
That's crazy. I was like, I could probably only remember maybe like once or twice that I was actually like. That I got my ass beat because my dad wasn't that type of dude. Like he was more laid back with that because he was always working. So he didn't like to be the disciplinarian. You know what I'm saying? Because he was like never around. So when he was around, he didn't want to have to like be the bad guy too.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's why the times that I did get my ass whooped, like I remember them clearly because they were like you already know they were the worst because. Like it wasn't like every day. Like so that it's funny because I have cousins. I have an aunt specifically that she was known for that, bro. She was known for whooping ass. My cousins, we used to go to my cousin's house just to watch them get their ass beat. It was hilarious, bro. It was hilarious because she would, for anything, she would smack the shit out of them. It was hilarious.
Yo,
so I don't know. I'm not like I don't think I've really ever hit my kids up until this point now.
No.
Like, like my oldest son, there's been times where like I've had to like, yo.
Ven acá.
¿Qué lo que? Like, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do?
¿Tú me entiendes? Pero like that,
just like. Just to scare him a little bit.
Yeah. Because, they gotta, but. I don't know, man.
Even that I'm appreciative of my parents. Because my dad did that a lot. Like, he used to like be like, what's up?
My dad did that to me one time, bro. My dad one day, we were in the middle of the street and he in Brooklyn, bro. And he just like he pulled over on a one-way street, literally like right in the middle of the block, so nobody could get around. He didn't even say nothing. He just pulled over, got out the car, and he was standing in front of the car. People behind us like, and he was like, shut the fuck up. He said, yo, get out the car right now. So you think you a man? Vamos a matarnos tú y yo aquí a la trompa. Tú y yo vamos a matarnos a la trompa ahora mismo. And I'm like.
You didn't know what to do.
Like, bro, I was like, I ain't getting out the fucking car.
I'm not getting out the fucking car.
I was like, let's go.
This is a trick question, Dad.
Nah, son, chill. Like, that was that one, bro. That's when I knew, like, bro, man, he was serious. Like, don't, when you cross the line,
yeah,
like you're gonna feel it.
Yeah. How many kids you got?
I got a few kids.
Okay.
I'm actually very private about my.
Okay.
If you, my wife doesn't have Instagram.
Right.
My kids aren't allowed on social media.
Right.
I've been through a lot, bro.
Okay.
I've been through a lot. I'm very, very private about my... I think a private life is a better life.
It definitely is.
I don't post my kids on Instagram, none of them.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people know who I am and a lot... And, they come from a big family too. So, like, on their mother's side. So, I feel like...
You're good where you're at.
Yeah, man, I'm good where I'm at. Like, there's a lot of public information out there. You know what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people fuck shit up. Like, I see people, I see like people that go to my kid's school like post things where I'm just like, bro, you posting the kid in his uniform with the name of the school on it. Like we living in some crazy times right now, bro. Like
very real.
I'm sorry, bro. I'm the crazy dad, bro. I'm the one that like, bro, I got guns in the crib. I'm
be
like,
crazy dad.
I'm ready for anything, bro. Like, and I'm serious, bro. I'm ready for anything, bro.
100%
Loco, que
with
llegó
you.
a mi casa y me encontró despierto y está, you know, se jodió, loco. You know, I'm sorry.
No, it's true. It's true. You gotta be that way, especially in these times.
Yeah, and I'm like,
these times it's getting real out of hand.
And I teach my kids a lot, but like, yo, you know, like, bro, I don't want you walking home from school on your phone. Like, bro, you're gonna be self-aware.
We'll end it with this on the parenting tip. What's one thing that parenting taught you that no business could ever?
Man, I would say the biggest gift is probably also like 50-50, like the biggest curse for me would be that my dad, you know, you can never, I think that was his biggest gift / curse, was the fact that like you could just, it don't matter what was going on. You know, he could, él podía estar muriéndose, and you could never tell. You would never know. You could never tell. He would never give himself up. You know what I'm saying? I think that in business, you know, it's a virtue to not react to everything, because every day there's something.
Every day something.
And if you gave the same level of attention to everything, te pone loco.
Yeah.
It's crazy, bro. Like, you know, people don't know, especially in a restaurant, how hard is it to really be good at everything all the time and to not let people down. Like, if you know, I like to use this analogy of like, because I love baseball, is like, you know, the best players, Hall of Famers. You know, think of a Derek Jeter. Think of, you know, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what was his lifetime batting average? It don't even matter whether you're probably right or
300.
wrong. In the 300. So, good, right?
Right.
What does that mean? That out of 10 times you go to bat, you know, you're getting on base, you're getting 3 hits, at least 3 hits. Right? That means that 7 times you're failing, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're still like a Hall of Famer, you know? And it's like, because it's hard to hit a baseball.
That's a great analogy.
¿Tú me entiendes? And so it's like, it's the same thing with business, bro. Like you got so many moving pieces, and like, even if something that happens is not directly like your fault that you dropped the ball directly, like it was just somewhere within the process of whatever is going on that day that something happened. Either somebody misunderstood or somebody, whatever, bro. The simplest things could alter someone's experience. And one thing that I learned is that, especially in the restaurant industry, is that a lot of things that a lot of times as even as a consumer, not just as a business owner, we overlook the fact that your experience, you go out with your wife tonight to a restaurant. Your experience does not start the moment you arrive looking for parking, how easy it was finding parking and getting inside and whatever. That's not when it starts right now. It starts from the moment that you even decide that you're going to go out. Where are we going?
Wake up. Yeah.
Where are we going? If you get into an argument with your girl about what are we going to eat? I don't know. You told me. I don't know. You picked the last time. And you do, bro, that already is part of the experience of wherever you wind up going.
Yep.
Hay mucha gente que llegan al restaurante, loco, y le gíe de la vida, loco.
Están encojonados de que salieron de la casa.
Negado a lo que sea, que tú se lo puedes hasta mamar, loco.
Tú le pones
a la
mejor.
gente y no se van a ir contentos, viejo. Like,
es verdad.
You know, and people don't understand that your experience in anything in life, it starts way before you're even there. You know, sometimes you get to these moments that you've been working for, saving up for, aspiring to, whatever, and you get there and that moment comes and it goes, bro. Yeah. You could get an award, you could get a recognition, and you're just gonna oh, fulano de tal, gracias, y gracias, y ya. Y se acabó el momento y todo lo que pasó antes de eso.
Yeah. It's like your thought process of that moment was going to be something spectacular. Y cuando tú llegas ahí, se convierte en nada.
Claro.
La situación. You're right.
So it's hard, man. So I would say that's for me the biggest thing. That, like, you know, I'm at the point where I've been in so many situations that right now, you know, the restaurant could be on fire, bro. And the last thing that I'm gonna do is freak out and have everybody else freak out because I'm freaking out.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry. I'm the one I'm the one where, you know, most people are coming to for answers for. Like, what are we gonna do about this? ¿Tú me entiendes? Si yo estoy ahí, loco, cagándome.
Yeah. Even, like you said, even if something does not affect you directly, somehow it trickles to you.
When you say parenting, it's hilarious because, like, you know, me and my partner talk about this every day. We're like, yo, sometimes, you know, our employees, they're the best people ever. And then there are days I'm like, yo, it's like a bunch of kids, bro. And I love them, all of them, but damn. ¿Tú me entiendes? You know, like I said, and because a lot of things have to do with, like, everything, bro. Like, you could be, like, on the road, somebody te toca la bocina, tú no sabes lo que esa persona está pasando. What just happened in their life. You just don't know. So for us to react, you know, I was telling my daughter that yesterday. I was like, you know, she was like, you know, it was a big thing where, like, so my oldest and her, they have the same personality. And they get into it a lot. And I'm just like, you know, yesterday I was like, you know, we're not going to have the same, like I told you in the beginning, we're not going to continue to have the same problem. So we're going to figure this shit out. And I understand, and like I told her, I understand that, you know, you claim that 80, 90% of your problems start with him. And without me averiguando mucho, and now I'm picking sides because she's the only girl. It's not that. It's the fact that I looked at him, because I got them all together now. So I looked at him, I said, the fact is that you're the oldest and you're a man. You're a young man. You shouldn't be getting into shit with a little girl. That alone,
that's
just that alone is like, bro, ya tú pediste.
Yeah.
So, I guess, sin yo averiguar mucho, yo sé que you could be right. 80, 90%, he starts it. But, you know, a lot of things, like in life, everything doesn't happen to you. You know, everything's happened to you. Something's happened for you. You know, for you to act like every single time that he gets on your nerves because he made a face at you or he says something under his breath or he's trying to be slick or whatever, that doesn't mean que tú tienes que reaccionar con ella dándole una patada, dándole un aruñazo, dándole una trompada, porque ¿qué es lo que pasa? Entonces, you know, it's also how you react to shit in life, you know? How you react to it. You know, there could be days where you could be the bigger person too. You could be like, yo, déjame tranquila.
Or just step away.
O lo que sea, o le voy a decir a mami, or whatever it is. But like, you know, a lot of things, 99% of the time, what happens, the outcome of anything in life, parenting, business, whatever, is not what happened, is how you react. So I'm like, you know, you're also equally at fault as he is, because you're reacting to something más stupid. Like, yo,
that you know is coming your way.
Stupid. And then, entonces, so like I have a rule with them. It's like, you know, we win as a team, we lose as a team. So
I like that.
It's the only way that they look out for each other y ellos mismos se aconsejan. Y ellos mismos a veces se tapan por eso mismo. Because they're like, you know what?
Aprenden a taparse.
Because it's like, you know, si tú la cagaste, todito vamos a sufrir. You know, like if we have plans to do something fun on the one day off that I have, and we're not, I decided, you know what, we're not going because you don't deserve to go. Therefore, we're all going to lose out.
Yeah.
You know, that shit hurts though, bro. That shit hurts them, bro. Esa vaina.
Son cositas así que tú le clavas el cuchillito a ellos, because that's the thing. You take away those little things.
It's the little things.
And those things become humongous to them. Like, my daughter now, she's like, because we just got away from Christmas, thank God, because these Christmas lists are getting insane.
No,
I don't remember ever.
No,
These kids are crazy. These kids are crazy. Está subiendo la libra, de verdad. Because every year, it's like they're adding another, in cost-wise, like $1,000 to this list. Like, when did we ever create a list for our parents? Our parents Papi siempre era un bate con el wiffle ball o un G.I. Joe, y yo era contento, because at the same time,
Eso no existía tampoco back then. You got to think about it. Like, I think the closest thing to what they asking for today would be probably like PlayStation games and shit like that.
They ain't even asking for that.
But outside of that, bro, like, like, los regalos tan más caros. O sea, what they want, what we wanted as children didn't even exist.
True.
Like what they have now. So it's like, I think that.
But even still, bro, está caro.
Still.
Está vaina de que es Lululemon, que unos pantalones licra que cuestan $90. I'm like, what? What is this? No, wait, pero my daughter, both of them, they did a PowerPoint presentation about their Christmas gift list. And they wanted to present it on the screen to the grandparents, to us. I'm like, what is this? A whole national presentation.
You ever heard of Go Wish List?
She just sent me her Go Wish list.
Yeah, so
yesterday for her birthday. I'm like, we just got out of. It was just Christmas. Relax. You have a whole new list with new items for your birthday.
My kids are old enough where they on their iPads they'll have their own. Obviously, they'll have their own cloud email or whatever.
Yeah.
So we have a family chat.
Yeah.
And they post all their shit there. Oye.
Mandan links diario. Let's pivot to rapid rounds. I'm gonna ask you a question. First thing that comes to mind. All right. Totones or mangú?
Nah, totones. Hell yeah.
Totones all day?
All day. Es que lo que pasa es que los totones pegan con todo. Tú puedes comer totones con salami.
Yeah, facts.
You could eat, the totones is a perfect side dish to anything. You could be rice and beans with anything, y tú tienes un par de totones ahí también. Like mangú is only mangú with, los tres golpes, and you gotta be in the mood for it. Like totones, even if you're not in the mood for it, you're having some whole other shit, and they're there, you're gonna have some.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's just like, we can't fight with that.
Side question on the rapid rounds. Right. Can somebody fuck up the totones?
Hell yeah.
Thank you. Somebody said it because, coño, dame la vaina bien crunchy, bien finita y vaina. No me digas que una vaina halfway fried.
Nah,
you see what I'm saying?
People fuck up totones all the time.
All right.
Totones is very important. It's like frying an egg. It's like if you ask for an egg a certain way and they give it to you a different way, you're like, what the fuck? It's the same thing.
Like I got that. Yeah, you're right. Which Dominican dish best represents you?
Me? Psst, I hate that question. You know what? That question to me is like, it's like when people ask me like, what's my favorite thing to cook?
All right, let's reword
it. But like, because the thing is that people don't, they swear that I'm only like a trendy type of Dominican chef. They don't think that I could, like, si yo te hago un sancocho, loco, un mondongo, una habichuela, una guandula guisado, una vaina así, unos rabos, una vaina.
Wow.
You'll be like, nah, bro, like that was you. Because like, I got it, bro, like that. Like, in with the real Dominican shit. Now, I could take those same things and I can make it crafty and cute and trendy and like, whatever. I can make it fancy, right? But,
what's your favorite dish? Let's just reword that.
Bro, rice in any form. Aquí arroz blanco hasta vacío si está bien hecho, loco. Arroz con huevo, locrio.
Arroz con huevo.
Arroz habichuela, arroz con gandules. Yeah. Bro, si tengo arroz, loco, I'm happy, bro. I gotta eat rice every day, bro. Yeah. There's no way around it.
That used to be.
But I had rice for breakfast today, bro.
Damn. Well, yeah, estamos en tiempo todavía que queda en la nevera.
I had rice for breakfast, bro.
What's one dish you will judge somebody for messing up? You gotta be careful.
Nah, well, a lot actually, but because rice is my favorite, I critique everybody's rice. If I have rice somewhere and it's not like, if it's not even,
textured right,
mediocre or above, I'm upset.
Okay.
I'm upset because I'm like, coño, loco.
Me dañaste el arroz. The essential.
Loco, es que loco, un arroz blanco es lo más simple del mundo, bro. And it's like I feel like the simple things are the most important things. Like those are the things that you should get right.
For me, is beans. You fuck up the beans, that's it. You fucked up the plate.
Yeah, but the thing is with beans is
because los tostones van hasta ahí como quiera. So yo reemplazo.
The thing is with beans is that like la habichuela o son buenas o son malas. Pero que todo el mundo tiene su estilo de cómo hacerla. ¿Tú me entiendes? Alguna gente, they do the most bizarre, random, weird, backward shit, and the shit still tastes good. And some people's food, it doesn't look great, but it tastes mad good. And then some people's food looks good, but it's be bland. And then, so it's like, that's kind of hard for me. Like, to choose, like, to say about beans because... They gotta be good, bro. But tienen que tener esa llama, loco. And they gotta be creamy.
That's the point. Don't give me no watered down beans.
Hey, don't give me no watered down beans.
Don't give me no watered down.
We're gonna fight, bro.
I'm gonna fight this shit.
And this way is like, bro, if you don't know how to do it, ask me. I'll tell you what to do so they don't come out watery. To me, the color matters. I don't like to see a lot of pajitas and shit in my beans. Like, there's things you could do so that it looks prettier, para que se vea delicada la vaina.
Yeah, se vea bien.
¿Me entiendes? So I feel you.
So rice and beans. They fuck up the rice or they fuck up the beans. Se jodió todo.
I mean, they fuck up anything. I'm a chef, like I'm a that's my thing. That's my thing. Like I go out to eat and that's the thing. Anybody that I go out to eat with, they're always like, yo,
please don't critique.
Yo, how do you feel? How do you feel about this right now? Like, and I'm just saying, bro, it's funny because like, bro, it'd be hard for me, bro. Like, cuando yo veo, and you know what's funny? It don't even take that much to impress me because I feel like I go to so many places and a lot of places be like taking shortcuts and they just don't be knowing how to do things certain ways that I just be like, damn, bro, like
let me go back there.
All you gotta do is this. And another thing for me is I could tell if whatever I'm having at a restaurant, I could tell how they prepped it by the way, by even everything, the texture, whatever. I could tell like even the quality of what it was, if it was frozen, if it was what I could tell. So that bothers me because I'd be like, damn. I look at the price, I look at the place, I'd be like, coño, like. There's certain things that like, come on, man.
Everything is lining up but the food on certain places. You're right.
You're happening too much, man.
I got two more questions for this segment for you. Pick one forever. Private chef, like private chefing events, like where you go to people's homes, or restaurant rush lifestyle.
Oh man, pick one.
One for the rest of your life. Like if you had to choose one today.
All right, can I tell you the reasons why I'm having a hard time with this decision?
Go ahead, break it down.
And then maybe after I talk it out with you, maybe I could choose because it's hard. Right now I can't choose one over the other, but being in a restaurant in the kitchen on the line.
Yeah.
When it's busy. That's important because you said the rush life, right?
Because it's a rush certain times.
Yeah.
People's
that's very important. I like that you said that because there's a difference, right?
Right.
Being in that place literally saved my life because a couple years ago, there's things that I really can't talk about, but I went through some dark times.
Okay.
And legal troubles.
Right.
And being in that environment saved my life because my mind was going so much to the point where I was having really bad thoughts, right? And I was actually afraid of having time, right?
Okay.
And so being in a restaurant during a rush time, Saturday night, restaurants packed, and you have to show up. You have to perform. It don't matter what's going on in your life. It don't matter how you feel. It don't matter if you're sick. It don't matter nothing, bro. If you gotta be there, you gotta be there. You're doing, you're moving. You're on fire. There's no better feeling than like kicking ass on a Saturday night in a restaurant, getting through that rush, having that cold beer at the end of your shift, and just being like, damn, like today was crazy. and to reflect on the fact that you didn't have a moment to think about your problems. Mm-hmm. So that for me, literally, was like probably why I never went back to music, never went back to school. I mean, I did finish school, but I never went to the police academy.
Pursue other things, yeah.
Or, you know, on all that stuff. Because I literally, I signed up to take the Nassau County Police test.
You was almost there.
Todo eso, loco.
Yeah.
So that's that. The private chef thing, the most important people in my life that changed my life, the most important events in my life, and what has really allowed me to provide for my family, to have a home and all this crap, and was private chefing.
Private chefing, right. Born during the pandemic.
Since the beginning, since always.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I read this book called The Third Circle Theory, around 2016, 17, right when I was coming into that chef life. That book literally had also a lot to do with
pivoting,
yeah,
maneuvering,
and even like being like. Becoming a real man, I want to say.
Yeah.
I strongly recommend that book to anybody that's struggling with identity, with their timeline, whatever. That's the perfect book. It's such a, it's like
self-motivator.
It's not even that. It's just like it's just so eloquently, put like it's like everything, you know how like when your parents tell you shit and you're just like, you know what I'm saying?
Again.
That book does it in a way where it's just like, damn, like, it's like a mirror. It's like everybody that reads that book, it's very subjective because it doesn't have like one story, one outcome, and like you can interpret it however you want. No, it's a mirror of like you can plug yourself in. It's a theory. It's 3 circles and every circle is divided into like a pie,
right?
Like little slices.
So 3 slices, right?
Every place you go to, you know, within that circle, and then you go into the next, and then it's like a mirror. So it's like you can read it, and I can read it, and to you is gonna mean what your life was like to you, whenever, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very self-reflective book. So the person who wrote that book, someone that I look up to a lot. He's a very successful man. I was doing a private event in Westchester one day, a couple of years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And this dude was like, yo, let me show you around my crib. And bro, I've been doing this for like, 7, 8 years now. Mm-hmm. This is probably the second time. There's only been 2 people in 8 years. I've been to a lot of people's houses, bro. Mm-hmm. 2 people in 8 years that decided, déjame enseñarte la casa. Bro, to me, I just thought that was weird, right? Because I'm a stranger in your house. Yeah. You're paying me to do a service.
Yeah.
And you're gonna take me into your fucking closet in your bedroom, in your bathroom, in your master bedroom. Like, it's just weird, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's weird.
It's weird, right? Like, I think it's weird. I wouldn't do that.
It's definitely weird. Yeah, but he was giving you the tour.
He gave me a house tour, and then one of the tours, he goes to the garage, and he's like, "Oh, you see that Lambo right there? My boy gave me that as a gift." And I was like, "Your boy gave you that as a gift?" I'm like, nigga, what kind of friends you got giving you a $300,000 car? And he goes, "Well, you know, I just got my product in all the Walmarts in the nation, so it was kind of like a congratulation gift from him. You know, he got it like that. You know, whatever." I was like, okay. I was like, yo, that was amazing, bro. Like, I was crazy. I was like, but then again, I was like, yo, what type of friends? You know what I'm saying?
Who you dealing with, right?
So the dude FaceTimes the dude.
Right. Oh,
the dude FaceTimes the dude to be like, you know. to let him like, yo, let him know that you got me the car, type shit. You know, like I guess he thought
Proving the point.
¿Tú me entiendes?
Yeah.
Bro, cuando el tipo,
I mean, cualquiera se pone
when the guy picks up the phone, it was the author of the book.
Wow.
So to me, in that moment, like life came full circle for me. I was like, yo, if I ever had any doubt about what I was up to, I was like, I know I'm definitely doing well, at least I'm on the right path. Because there's no way that this is like, como que, okay, casual. Like, nah, bro. Wow. You know, the guy that, like, I want to say there's been probably like 2 or 3 people in my life that I could say that have really had a huge, like, impact on, you know, me staying the right course or whatever. And he's one of them. And for that to have happened the way that it did, I don't think that was a coincidence.
How long before you saw him, or how long before that FaceTime call had you read that book?
Oh, a couple years. Couple, probably like 3 or 4 years. And then, like after that, we've actually stayed in touch. Like he's still, the author of the book, he DMs me like, yo, how's it going? Whatever. I'll be like, yo, Merry Christmas. You know, we've never met in person.
Right.
I've even told him, like, bro, he lives in Florida. I'll be like, yo, cuando tú quieras, enfriarte con la mujer, lo que sea, bro, yo voy, yo le hago una cena, whatever. Like, bro, just as a token of appreciation, of admiration, of whatever. It's never happened. I'm sure one day it will.
It will.
Pero so when you ask me, also, I met my business partner. Mm-hmm. Same way. She hired me to do her daughter's birthday, and we wound up opening a restaurant together. And so I've just met so many amazing people, private chefing, all types of people, presidents, athletes, people I'm not allowed to talk about. I've signed a lot of NDAs. Right. Like, honestly, I could be so much bigger than like what I am. Yeah. And I'm not, because I'm not the type of person to like come in your house and be like, look, vamos a tirar una foto.
Yeah.
Okay, yo no soy un lambón. Look, I've never been like that. I've never, and I've seen it all. I've done it all, and I've never really capitalized on that. I've never taken advantage of the places that I've been to and the people that I've been in touch with. Like, so when you ask me, pick one forever.
It's tough.
You know, it's tough because like on the restaurant side, I probably wouldn't even be here. I'll probably be in jail. Right. I'll probably be
somewhere else.
I probably would have quit. Mm-hmm. You know, and then on the other side, I probably wouldn't have success. I probably wouldn't have, probably wouldn't have been able to like pay my car note or my mortgage. So like. Yeah. I can't, how do I choose between the two? I don't know, man.
Your story is resonating a lot. It's very like relatable because it showcases that you could be going through your darkest time. And let's say, for example, when initially you had other plans. You didn't even have the plans that you are currently living today. But initially you did set out to be something else. And since the beginning, there's been kind of like this path of food, chefing, restaurant for you that you have yet to know about, right? As you're living through it. And then as I asked you that question about which one would you prefer to do more, whether in-person chefing style or restaurant, and you mentioning that, one of them saved my life because I was going through something. And if it wasn't for me being that busy, it wouldn't have been what it is today. And the other one comes the stability, the growth, the impact, right? Pero it doesn't matter what it was. Everything led you to be exactly where you were. And then you're like, you can't choose one or the other because both of them have impacted you in different ways, right? The in-person chefing and the rush. Personally, I think you prefer both at this point, right? You can't live one couldn't be without the other. You would like to do both for the rest of your life.
My real dream that's developed out of this whole journey, I would say from the beginning, I want to say that like the end goal for me, like in this career, what has been for a while. I don't know if you know who Anthony Bourdain was.
The name rings a bell.
Anthony Bourdain, he had a show called Parts Unknown.
Okay.
He was a very, very famous chef.
Okay.
He committed suicide a couple years ago.
Wow.
But he was very influential, and his whole thing was he would travel the world, the most craziest regions that people and types of people and cultures that people have never heard about, didn't even know existed. People who like live in the mountains type shit. He would go,
now I know who you're talking about.
He would go there and he would learn of their culture. He would try their foods and they would cook for each other. And he would learn about the history of their people and the food that they eat and how certain things only grow there in that region and XYZ. And there's a lot like food is actually very interesting because there's history to every dish. Believe it or not, one of my favorite stories is one of my favorite dishes, like French toast.
Okay.
During World War II, all the roads were fucked up. So by the time the soldiers got their supplies, like the bread was stale. So somebody, I don't know who, I'm sure we could figure that out.
Right.
But somebody decided to start soaking the bread in milk and eggs and spices, cinnamon, blah, 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 sugar, whatever.
Boom.
And then, cook it on a skillet and they would basically revitalize the bread.
Wow.
They would, revamp the bread's life.
Yeah,
It became stale bread that you couldn't make a sandwich with, but, you have French toast and it was delicious.
Una delicia.
And so that's why they call it French toast, because they were in World War II, they were in France.
Wow.
And by the time the soldiers got their stuff, whatever. So French toast came from there. That's where it was born. And I think every dish, if you really think about it, not only like just a dish alone, I think the simple, because like, bro, if you think about it, like we're Dominican, right?
Right.
Who in their right mind thought like, oh, it's a good idea to eat mondongo? Like, tú me entiendes? Like, bro.
Definitely not me.
Bro, that's like, tú me entiendes? Pero, so something even as crazy as that, right? Is like, it depending on where you're from in the country, they prep it in a different way.
They do.
Lo de sur lo hacen así. Lo del norte, lo de Cibao. Everybody has their own way of making their beans or their sancocho. Some people put, people like in the south, like by Higüey, they put dumpling in the sancocho. My family never did that.
I've never seen dumpling in
I started seeing that they put, but there's a lot of things that, every dish has a story, bro.
Wow.
Every dish has a story, even within your family. I'm sure that your siblings had a favorite. Like my mami siempre le guardaba con el hermano mío. Tú me entiendes? Como que todo el mundo tiene un cuento.
Certain thing, yeah.
So, so to me, I feel like I always wanted to be the Dominican Anthony Bourdain because, like, I feel like in our culture, we're so como que encerrado.
Monolithic.
Yeah. ¿Tú me entiendes? Like, I just think like and it's funny because I also see Dominican Republic as like we are and whoever wants to get mad at me, I don't give a fuck.
Nobody's gonna get mad at you. Go ahead, say it. Say it.
I think Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico as well, like jointly, because we're brothers and sisters, right?
Of course.
I think jointly we are the hip hop culture of Latin America. I think when anybody wants to be cool,
right,
or dress a certain way or whatever, they look at what we're doing. They look at Bad Bunny. They look at El Alfa. They look at Romeo, whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I mean,
100%.
I mean, if I'm wrong, whatever. Let me be wrong. But to me, like, Latin America has so much they owe so much to Mexico and Puerto Rico and DR because we Mexico is the biggest consumer of music. these people still
100%.
go out and buy records. You know, nobody else does that. These people, they actually support. Look, like, I think people in Mexico and like South America listen to more bachata than we do.
Probably.
Like, you know, where I think that we're so important. To
the
Latino culture.
Yeah,
to the Hispanic culture. We have so much to give, and man, we're just, I think every dish has a story. So to me, that's been my dream. I like I want to do that in the Latino community, because it hasn't been done. Nobody, you know, like nobody has done that. Nobody has tried to unite us,
right,
through food. I feel like everybody's always competing with each other, even within our own culture. Like, you go to the Bronx, you're gonna find 5 bodegas on the same block. What's the point of that?
Facts.
Everybody's just trying to one up each other rather than like, you know,
work together.
All right, you got this block, I'm gonna go to the next one. Like, it's not like that. It's you know, if we could work together, that'll be amazing, man. If we could work closer together and come and just be more united. Like, it don't matter. We have
take over the world. How does that saying go? El Dominicano, if we put our heads together, we could take over the world. That's the saying. I don't know how the actual saying is, but it's something like that. Something to that reference.
Yeah.
I got 2 more questions for you, and they're based around legacy, because what I'm hearing is when it's all said and done, like you've become or are becoming a food connoisseur, a food historian. That's what you would want to kind of like emulate, right? So the 2 questions I have, one being, you know, there's a kid in your neighborhood or in your parents' neighborhood in DR, because you went a lot to where your parents are from in DR specifically. If you could look at a kid there that doesn't truly believe in success, what would you tell him? A kid from, of course, our culture, because for the kids today, there's a lot of hopelessness going around for these kids. There was a lot of that before when we were growing up, but nowadays I feel like it's impacting more our community. You're looking at a kid who seems hopeless, doesn't believe in success. What would you tell him?
I think I would say, well, you know, like I was touching up on earlier, where like, you know, life is hard regardless, man. And it's gonna be hard. Even people who are rich and they have it all, like they seem to have it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they have rich people problems. And problems are problems. And problems are hard to deal with regardless, you know? So I feel like, you know, I would say you already know what it's like to be who you are. So, and it's hard, right?
Definitely is.
So, you know, what is it gonna cost you to try to figure out who you could be?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be hard. Okay. So you're already there.
Because
right?
There is a cost attached to everything.
You're already there. You're already living a hard life. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's what I would say. I would say there's a lot of things that I didn't appreciate or I didn't understand as a kid, or I would be like, this is just one of our mommy papi's, you know,
rants.
You know, rants, and like you say, right? Like, but the reality is that, like you said, now I look back and I'm like, damn, I look in the mirror, I look like my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And when I hear myself talk, I sound like my mom.
Yeah.
And there's 100%. only, and you know, that's gonna happen. Definitely. And I'm gonna, and that's the thing I tell my son a lot. I be like, bro, you sometimes you say shit, or you react to shit, or you're like have these reactions to things like we're like, my nigga, yo tengo casi 40 años, loco. Ya, yo pasé por esa 10,000 veces, bro. ¿Cómo tú crees que tú a mí me vas a engañar? Like, si yo te estoy diciendo algo, it's because I love you. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I'm not the type to like, I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to, like you said, like they kept us from a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And God bless their souls. That's how they saw it fit.
Right.
And that's cool. Right. But with me, it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to be like, I want to be able to be like, hey, you know, my mom did this. My dad did this. And that's why XYZ. And, you know, I put these examples to my kids all the time. I try to show them the bad and the good.
Yeah.
Like, look, this worked out for me, this didn't.
Yeah.
And I just want to be transparent with you because I want you to see I'm not bullshitting you. And I don't care what route you choose. At the end of the day, I'm doing my part as a father.
That's it.
I'm doing my part as a father. If at the end of the day, you're 21 years old, whatever, and you want to go rob banks, bueno, tú sabes lo que puede pasar. Y eso no quiere decir que yo no trate todo lo que yo pude para que tú no cogieras ese camino. Pero hey, if that's what you're going to do, then nigga, be the best bank robber in the world.
Exactly.
Because dime, porque tú me entiendes.
It's true. It's very blunt, yes.
So, you know, that's the way that I see it. I would say, like, at the end of the day, being rich is hard. Being poor is hard. Working 60, 70, 80 hours a week is hard. Not having a job is hard. You know, marriage is hard. Being a father is hard. It's all hard, bro. And this is like, we just got to be more grateful that we got something to complain about sometimes, right? That's because this is like, you know, otherwise you're dead.
You know what's crazy? Like, you know, we can't even blame our parents for the way they brought us up because they were parenting for the first time. In hindsight, now we're parents and we're parenting for the first time. So we're trying to figure it out. There's a list of shit that we're doing wrong anyway. Yeah. We're just trying to do some things right. It's like
there's things we don't understand.
Exactly.
There's things they didn't understand. Every generation brings new chips. They bring new chips to the table.
Yeah.
These chips are unknown. Yeah. You don't know what happens when you flip this card over. It's a different game.
And you said it best.
You know, it's everybody's first time playing the game, you know?
Of course.
It don't matter how old you are. You know what I'm saying? You're going to tell me if we were having this conversation in the 1930s, we'll be having the same conversation? No.
Not at all. Not at all. And it's like you said, the analogy about the baseball hitters, like a Barry Bonds or Darryl Strawberry or whoever, right? 30% out of 10. 3 times out of 10, you might get it right on average in your whole life.
That's considered to be a
Hall of Famer.
That's considered so do the best you can.
Of course. Last question for you now. Now you're looking at yourself young in Queens. You're looking at the little version of you, but you know everything you've went through, the good, the bad, the ugly, to this point in your life. What advice would you give yourself knowing everything you've been through?
That not everybody's good, bro. Not everybody's good. Especially like in our culture, I think los dominicanos somos demasiado confianzudos in the sense that, you know, this is a very common thing. And a lot of it, I'm saying most of it probably comes from a place of good intention of like, you could probably go with your kids to somebody's house party, whatever. Ah, no, deja ese muchacho ahí, que si yo qué, ven para acá, toma, bébete una cerveza, you know. And your kid could be in the house, in a room with other kids that come from other households that even though it's somebody that you kind of know, you know what the fuck conversations they're having there.
That's true.
You don't know what's going on in that bedroom. You know, you don't know how people can influence your child and how they think and how they see the world.
100%.
And you know, some people do have bad intentions. So, you know, I think that I was actually a victim of child molestation. I think that with me, it was probably different because if it was like a man, I think I would have probably done something about it like a long time ago.
Right.
But because it was a woman, I think that it like allowed me to see things differently. Like I didn't think that it was necessarily something bad that really occurred to me, you know, until after, I want to say probably in the last 10 years that I realized like, oh shit, this is some trauma that I've had that I didn't even know was trauma. I kind of like used it to my advantage, but it wasn't something that served me. It's actually something that took a lot away from, you know, me and how I you know, see things.
Right.
So, you know, I would say that, you know, because of everything that I've lived and how overprotective I am with my kids, because like, you know, especially nowadays, it's just so not like uncommon that somebody's aunt or uncle or somebody's teacher, you know,
100%.
did or said something that completely like crushed a child's dreams or how they see the world and how they decide to, you know, move forward or how to cope with whatever in life.
You know what's crazy about that? Like, because and for situations like that, let's say, God forbid it happens to our children, the effects of that, they won't feel them until they're adults and they realize it was something wrong instead of something right. Like, I experienced something similar. I lost my virginity at a very young age, and somebody older than me, way older than me, took advantage of the situation, and I thought I used that as a plus.
Yeah,
Forever.
you thought, yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like,
Very similar. I was probably younger than you.
But it wasn't until a couple of like a decade ago or something, I started looking at that. I'm like, yo, that was wrong. That did take something away from me. So I could relate to you in that sense where, you know, people don't have the best intentions, even if you think it was correct as a kid, but look at the effects of it as you grow up. So whatever happens, that's why we're overprotective parents to the max now, because if we know our kids are experiencing any inkling of that or an inch of whatever we experience, we know that the effects of that could be huge for them down the line when they realize it. Yes, I just wanted to share that with you too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's huge. You know, so I think, you know, I think part of like growing up for me, and even when I was trying to like really become a chef and identify myself as what am I doing? What am I going? You know, I feel like a lot of things I did and people that I got involved with really affected the outcomes of a lot of things because I chose to only see the positive outcomes that could come out of this project or this partnership or this business or whatever. And I completely disregarded the fact that like all these other bad things could happen. All these other risks are on the table, you know, but you're just so focused on like the outcome that you don't weigh in like the ifs and the buts and the maybes. And I feel like I ignored a lot of that. And I think that, so if I were to look back, or I were to go back and say something to my 10-year-old self or 15-year-old self or whatever, I would just be like, you know, I guess I would just say that, like, hey, you know, not everybody's good. Not everybody out there is, you know, gonna look out for your best interest. You gotta do that. You gotta do that more for yourself. And even like, and I hate to say this shit because it's just, I just think that at the end of the day, this is nature. We are human beings. We are, you know, males and females. We look at life differently. We think differently. We have different roles, and just in nature alone, like I just think that, like, you know, I think about the craziest shit on a daily basis, bro. I really think about like, what if I got like a terminal illness? What if I just died? What if I, you know, what if one of my kids has, you know, was diagnosed with cancer? What if I think about shit like all the time, right? I'm just like, maybe I'm a paranoid person. I don't know, but I think about the weirdest things, and I'm just like, como que, like anything is possible, right? And I just think that we're animals. At the end of the day, I used to like watch the Discovery Channel a lot when I was a kid, and like one of my favorite things to point out to people is that, like, you know, it is in different species, whether it's a lion or a fucking goat or whatever. Like, bro, like you got the male who's like the leader of the pride. He's holding on the fort. He's the protector. He's the provider.
Yeah.
He's the man.
Yeah.
He's surrounded by his wife, his family, whatever. ¿Qué pasa? Si viene otro león paseando por ahí, you gotta fight that nigga.
For your life. Yeah. And those who with you.
Yeah, and what happens if he loses? Automatically, that stranger becomes the leader of that pride. Now that's his land. That's his bitch. That's his family. That's his, like, ¿tú me entiendes? And that's who the female chooses.
Yeah.
She chooses the one that could provide and protect. Porque dime, a ti te
dieron dos galletas.
Vaya a acostar, de por ahí mismo, ¿tú me entiendes? I feel like all of that is like, even today in real life, we see that. Like, and so I just think it's just like, it's important as a man to be able to do all those things. You gotta be strong. You gotta be a provider. You can't overreact. You gotta be strong enough to protect, soft enough to love.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have a balance of things, to be able to, like, give to your daughters, give to your wife, but also like be that nigga, it's just like, it's so much, like, we have to wear so many hats, and I think that a lot of men don't really they don't understand that.
Yeah.
They don't a lot of them don't have also maybe that role model.
That's
a lot of them didn't have that upbringing. They didn't know, like they just didn't know. And it's like, you could point fingers all you want, but like, it's like I said, you look back and our parents' generation, they had different problems. We have different problems, and we're all learning. It's your first time being a dad, no matter how long you've been a dad. It's your first time being a dad. Your daughter's only going to be 15 one time.
Yep.
She's only going to be 21 one time. ¿Tú me entiendes? Like, so.
It's crazy. I start to think a lot about, like, the problems that I have as a dad, as a father, as a provider, and all that stuff. And then I start, like, going towards my dad to ask him questions about how he dealt with those things. But then even more than that, I would like to know what my grandfather, how he dealt with his, like you said, it was different situations, different problems, different eras, but there were problems nonetheless, right? But how did my grandfather deal with his issues in his time?
If they could even be that vulnerable to even answer you.
That's what I was going to get to.
That's what I'm saying.
They were not vulnerable enough to even answer. Like, my dad's response to that was like, oh no, I just worked. He was escaping. Wow. So that's the thing. Like, he was escaping his reality to put his focus in his mind on something else. And probably that saved his life.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Maybe if you would go, maybe if you come home and you cry to your wife every night about how hard it is, maybe she'll be like, oh, this nigga's too weak for me. Maybe, maybe, like, you never know. You don't know. You don't know what reaction you're gonna get. Not to start shit. It's just it's a reality that, like, sometimes we probably crosses our mind to be like,
it's too much.
Yeah, maybe I should say something. Maybe I should call somebody and be like, yo, but you don't know how. You don't know how, because you weren't taught that. You also weren't exposed to that. You weren't exposed to that vulnerability.
You were just exposed to be.
I was always taught los hombres no lloran.
Yeah.
That's what I was always taught. That's how I was taught. El hombre no llora.
Me too. But what I'm starting to figure out is cuando nosotros lloramos, it's a little bit tricky because it's hard to stop. Like, once you become vulnerable as a man, and I don't mean to say this in front of the ladies or whatever, but once you become vulnerable as a man, it's kind of like difficult to stop yourself from being vulnerable. And once you realize you're being too vulnerable, you shut down even more. So
I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Is that okay?
Talk to me.
Is that allowed?
Yeah, of course.
So, because this is called the dad's group chat. Like, how? Yeah. What does that mean to you? Why did you start that? Why is it the dads? Like, why is it like, who are your guests? Are your guests all dads?
No.
Like,
Great question.
I ask it, and you want to know why I'm asking? Because there was one time when I was really, really like struggling,
right,
like with my identity as a man,
right,
and as a father, and a lot of things. It was a few years ago, and I never followed the guy. I never listened to another pod. He was a guest on a podcast that I used to listen to,
right,
because that podcast now, like the same guy, he like. It turned into another podcast. So it's not the same that it used to be.
Right.
But this guy was on this guy's old podcast, and he had a podcast called, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's called The Good Dad Project or something like that. And then the whole reason why he started it was because I guess he was raised by like a dad that used to beat the shit out of him. And then he was like, he had like boys, like 2 boys. And he had a lot of like trouble with his wife and raising his kids and blah, blah. And one day, like I think he like blacked out and beat the shit out of one of the kids, and it was like a big thing, and like that led him to actually start this thing, and so that's what he did, and so that was his reason, and so but I'm just curious, like,
right? So in my case, this project, the Dad's Group Chat podcast, came about in the pandemic. In the pandemic, my mind went to, I'm gonna lose my job. Right? What am I gonna do? What am I doing from here? And I had a foresight that things are gonna be different after the pandemic, because believe it or not, the pandemic, while now it may seem like it was like a short period of time or a glimpse in our memory.
They stole 3 years of our life.
But it was really a big chunk of our life, right? So gladly and thankfully, I stood employed throughout the entire time. But in my mind, I went to, let me create something at this point, because I always wanted to create. I wanted to be a reggaeton artist when I was younger. I was always like creating. Never panned out to anything, but I was always creating. So when this came to my mind, it's nothing like it is now, because now, of course, it's all formed out and planned out. But in my mind, it was like, yo, let's have a group of men. At the time, it was a group of guys having conversations as dads, and we would talk about current events and stuff like that. Fast forward, in my mind, still it was, I should only have dads that are going through life in the Dad's Group Chat podcast. But it became something where I have different people from different walks of life, women, men, whatever it may be. Like it'll be surrounded around parenting, of course. But I've had non-parents here as well. We could talk about deep dive into their stories and how life ultimately impacted them in some type of way or form, and it becomes a conversation about that. So it's not about dad specifically. I've had moms here, I've had parents here, I've had all types of people from all walks of life, but it's more based around the conversation about upbringing, something that impacted you, how did that struggle, how you came out of that struggle, and how do you move forward. Business entities, I've had life coaches, I've had musicians, I've had people from all walks of life here, comedians. So now it's like formulating where I'm getting a lot of traction and people wanting to be here and stuff like that. And this year specifically, I put it in my mind, I'm in no fear mode. I'm just reaching out to people. Hence, I reached out to you. I was like, yo, I'm just going to reach out because I want him on the podcast. I want to know about his story. I reached out to you, and thankfully you accepted and we're here. But that's how it's been. So now it's no fear. I'm going for everything that I'm going for. I'm going to have every guest that I wish I had here, and they're going to tell me their story. I'm going to talk a little bit about mine, and we're going to create from there. That's what it's been.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So that, it's like you said, like you didn't necessarily have the chef idea in the very beginning. You had plans to become a cop or a musician. By the way, which instrument did you?
Mainly I play the guitar.
Okay, so perfect. You was gonna be a guitar player in either a solo or whatever that was gonna be, or a cop. And life took you in a different journey. Now you're a full blown, well known legacy act in the chefing business, right? But a similar story to that would be this. Like I work a 9 to 5, but this is my passion. This is what I love to do. So I love to have these conversations and go deep dive and it's not about me per se or you per se, the guest. It's about the impact this is going to have on someone else. So that was the whole idea behind the podcast.
Yeah, that's important, man. I think that especially men don't have the platform to be what they weren't taught to be. Because I think that like a lot of us, like especially from our generation, we were raised a certain way where, you know, we don't talk about everything, we just deal with it.
100%.
And I think that I've had like in the past few months, I've had like this urge to like kind of start like some sort of like a group.
Yeah.
Like for men only.
Yeah.
To kind of like
do it.
Meet up once a week, once a month, whatever, a couple hours, kind of just, you know.
Safe space for men.
Just, bro, what's up? What are your struggles? What are you dealing with? Like, if there's something that somebody could say here that could, you know, even if you don't participate, you go home and even identify what it is that you feel, what you're going through, and maybe try a different approach to life's problems or whatever it is. And, you know, I think that that's something that is definitely missing. So I appreciate the work that you're doing, because although it's probably like a passion project for you or whatever, it's, you know.
You know what it is, too?
You never know who could you know, touch, you know, who could change, who could help. So
what the problem is, and I believe the problem is us men, specifically in our generation, because of the way we were taught to deal with things, we hardly talk to each other. So when we create a safe space, such as you want to create, and I want you to create, I want that for you. I want you to create that space and add me to it when you do it, because everyone's life as a man is different, but we're all going through the same shit and we don't speak about it. Like, it'd be great to talk to a man specifically who is a parent just like me and say, hey, you know, this is what I'm dealing with my kids right now. What are you dealing with?
My biggest struggle and my biggest regret at the moment is not even like the shit that I deal with on a regular basis. Is the fact that, like, in the process, I've actually like I've alienated myself from my family. I've alienated myself from God. You know, I was very active. I was very much, you know, seen as a leader. I mean, without choice. Like, even when I was like young and playing in different bands, like, it was just like, for some reason, a lot of responsibilities kind of just fell on my lap. Like, and I'm just like, damn, I didn't sign up to be the leader of this shit.
Yep.
But like, I kind of have to, because if not, si yo no lo hago, nadie lo va a hacer, or whatever. Or si yo no lo hago, vamos a pasar vergüenza, or we're going to sound bad, or we're going to look bad, or whatever. And it was just like, I was always kind of like, you didn't really have to ask me to kind of do what needed to be done, because I was just like, damn, like, to me, self-awareness is huge.
Yeah.
You know, I talk to my kids about that shit every day. I'm like, yo, the most important thing that a human being right now, today especially, because of the way the generation is, it's so easy to kick everybody's ass because everybody's so like disconnected.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, you go to dinner, you look around a room at a restaurant, 90% of the people on their phones. Like, it's crazy. So I look at that and I'm like, you know, I think that we're definitely lacking in that area where, you know, a lot of us have, because we're stuck having to do all the doing, we're not, you know, we're not doing the little things that kind of like keep us in connected or
even sane for ourselves as well. So, you know, I'm glad that you do want to create a space like that. It's very much needed for our specific generation. And what can I say, man? Like, I've cried here. Of course, I've laughed. We've gotten serious, but one time I cried here, and it was because of something that somebody was telling me that was resonating with what I was going through, right? And it just took the conversation somewhere else. And this is why spaces like this are important. Yes, we could talk about your accolades, your chef, you're great, but let's go deeper. That's the whole point of the podcast as well, which I forgot to mention earlier. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go into what we're dealing with. And I'm glad you brought that point up, you know, and I'm grateful for the question, because not everyone asks. everyone sees the end product. They don't know the whys and what it took and the conversations that I had.
And a lot of times we don't even know the why. I just like, like there have been times where I didn't know, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And, like I said, one of the most impacting moments for me was like talking face to face with a dude who wrote the book that
like, that's a full circle moment for
that you. That was like, yo, get up and go, move, like, dime, so to me that was a lot, because I was like, oh, okay, all right, this makes sense. Yeah. Like, maybe I don't understand why I'm here, but I know that I'm in the right place. Yeah. Or I'm in the right path.
Eso son cosas de Dios, loco.
No, absolutely.
That's God telling you are in the right place at the right time, in the right moment. Keep moving. That's it. Like, I started praying in here so I could, so whatever I have going on, I put it in God's hands first and then let him carry the conversation. And since I started doing that, things has just been coming together. I'm not saying that there's a big goal in the end of this or there's money at the end of this project or whatever. I just enjoy the simple conversations, getting to know people from different walks of life. As you said, we get older. Like, we are more, like, for me, my experience, I've become more reserved with people. But even like all that new, all that like no new friends things is not a real concept for me. Like, you can meet people in different points of your life and they'll mean something at that point. Not necessarily that you'll be the best friends or whatever, or connect from that point on, but that initial conversation meant something for you. And I remember
real friends, things. You can't get rid of them. You can't get rid of real friends. Like, people come and go. And I think everybody in your life serves a purpose. Whether they're, even if they're especially if they're temporary. I think that everybody that comes and goes in your life has some sort of formation for you and for your legacy or your future or whatever. Yeah. But real friends, you can't get rid of them. There's people that I've tried to, like,
get out of here.
Como que mierda, otra vez. Te loco, llamándome lo que sea or whatever. And for example, like, and you can't get rid of those people because they're always going to be there. Yeah. Like, because el interés de ellos no viene de something that they could gain out of it. It's just their purpose. Yeah. Their purpose, to be in your life is something that we don't always understand. Like, there's people who are like, how they say you can't choose your family, you
can choose your friends.
You can choose your friends. Mm-hmm. And there's people who are closer than family and that have supported you more than family, who have impacted you more than family. There's strangers who have made an impact on me. People who I have never seen again. I never knew their name. Yeah. But moments in life that have occurred that I'm just like, I think that I have experienced God in different forms throughout my life. I think that I have definitely things and moments that I've shared, that I've experienced, that I'm just like, I look back and I'm like,
that was it.
That was God taking care of me. That was God looking out for me. That was God sending me a message. That was God protecting me, whatever that is. And that shit is real, but I don't care what nobody says, bro.
That's very real.
That's very real, man.
And I'm glad you're in tune with your spiritual discernment that way, that you already know that's him. Because a lot of us are in the dark.
Porque cuando tú no puedes explicar algo, tú me entiendes, no hay que averiguar tanto. Yeah. Tú me entiendes.
There's been a lot of moments like that, yeah.
And I think that, especially now, where the world, I think we're in a spiritual war.
We are. Look, take this for example. We're in a social media era, right? This is the social media era. The most connected us as humans have ever been, and yet it's the most disconnected we've all been. Spiritual warfare, bro. But you just hold on to the Almighty. Pray every day. I choose to pray every morning now, every night. I was always close to God. At some point, me despegué, pero Ahora estoy más cerca que nunca. ¿Tú me entiendes? So it's like,
You know, people are fucking hilarious. But you know what? At the end of the day, you could be whatever you are. You're not going to tell me that no matter how strong you are, spiritually, how, disciplined you are with your religion, whatever, whoever you pray to, the most difficult moments in your life, you're praying to somebody, bro.
yeah.
Your lowest moments in your life, your most difficult moments, you're asking somebody for help.
Yeah.
You know, so that shit is not a coincidence. Whether you're Chinese, black, whatever,
Yeah.
Hispanic, white, whatever, you praying to somebody.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. And when you got nowhere else to look, nothing else to hold on to, you're asking some sort of higher power for something.
Yeah.
So it's like that's not a coincidence. So it's like
it's not. Well, Steven, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. People already know you, of course, but would you like to say anything to the camera where they could find you, how they could get in contact with you? Anything you'd like to say to the camera?
Man, I don't know. I feel like I talk so much. I said so much. Honestly, I just wanna say thank you. Just across the board for anybody who's ever. The only reason why I did this.
Why?
Because when my team forwarded me the message,
okay,
of your request or your invite, whatever it was, you said something about that you're a fan, you've been to the restaurant, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think that it doesn't cost anything to support.
Yeah.
To support people, no matter where you are in your journey.
Yeah.
The most important lesson I ever learned in my life was I was probably 18, 19 years old, and it was from a 10-year-old kid. My dad was shopping around for a bodega somewhere in the hood in Brooklyn, and I was with him that day. And this kid, there were people shopping in the store, and this kid was packing bags in the store. And all of a sudden I hear a bunch of gunshots outside, but crazy. I mean, un tiroteo bacano. It was
one of those
going on for a few, minutes.
Oh, shit.
And people just going on about their day, bro.
Regular
They're
day
paying for their shit, bagging their shit up. They go outside, they look both ways, they keep walking. And everybody's just chilling. And I was there, and he was watching me react to what was happening. Obviously, the kid's from the neighborhood.
Right.
So he was very observant. And he looked at me and he goes, yo, what's the matter? What you worried about? And I look at him. I didn't even answer. I just looked at him and he goes, don't worry. You're wondering why everybody's just chill, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just I didn't even answer him. Again, he just yeah. Oye, un chamaquito. He goes, yeah. It's because, now's when all the cops come. And as he was saying that, this place was probably 6 blocks away from the 75th precinct. And as he was saying that, loco, el bloque entero se llenó de policía. I mean, the whole, you couldn't, if you had your car parked there, you ain't getting out.
Yeah.
That shit got locked down. Helicopters, everything. And he goes, now's when the cops come, so everybody's chill. When it's quiet around here, people walking fast, you're looking over their shoulder, that's when you gotta watch your ass.
Yeah.
And he told me that, bro. Así sin yo decir nada, loco. Así yo estaba...
Y tú todavía estabas in shock.
Yeah, and I was still damn, and it was just wow, how it's crazy how impactful an environment could be for a person, for an animal, for a person, for whoever, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
for a child, especially. And, I will never forget that day. I'll never forget that kid. I remember his name, everything.
Yeah.
And, I look back at that and I think like, the answers are all around us, and like we're exposed to so much, and it's just like we literally choose what to believe, we choose what to see, we choose how we see it.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is important, is an act of service in some way.
Yeah.
Because people are connecting.
Yeah.
And like you said, that you guys are friends, and you've been to the restaurant, this and this and that. And I was just like, how could I say no to someone who's been there for me? You've, in some way, shape, or form, whether if you only spend $10 or $100 or $20 or whatever it was at my place, or you supported my business in any way, shape, or form, in some way, even if it's in the smallest way, you have put food on my table. So I see that, and I'm just like,
wow.
If we could all do that, if everybody could do that, if every Dominican, if every Puerto Rican, if every Latino, every American could just like look at their neighbor and be like, yo, okay, you good?
Yeah.
If we could all do that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, we could live the best lives, like I think the best is yet to come. I know that we're going through a lot right now as a nation.
Yeah.
As a, as a culture.
Yeah.
As a lot of things. Any hat that you put on, it has its shit tied to it.
Yep.
Shit that you're dragging, and it's like, bro, some of us got more sleep than others on a certain day, and if we could just go out there and help push or help pull or help whatever, I think is our purpose as humans is to be there for humanity, for each other, so
of course I appreciate that, man.
So if I were to say anything to the camera, I would say thank you to you, to anybody or anybody that would watch this, to your viewers, your past guests, everybody, because everybody contributed to the cause, to humanity, to the culture, to coming together, to
having these conversations.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah. It's important. There's a lot of things that we think about and we don't actually get to say, and sometimes people say it for us, and we can identify ourselves with them, and we just need more of that, especially now. We're going through so much shit. Like, there's nothing better than being able to be there for each other, and it is what it is, man. So thank you too, man.
Thank you, man. Listen, those are the kindest words anybody has ever said at the end of a podcast to the podcast. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And thank you because I extended the invitation, but thank you for receiving it and for coming on the platform and telling us your story, how you started, how you became a chef, how being a dad has impacted you. And, to more, I just wish more of these conversations happen as well. But thank you, Stephen, for joining me. We have Chef Papi in the building. You guys know him as Chef Papi. His name is Stephen Rodriguez. Stephen, thank you so much for being here. I
appreciate it.
For all the listeners, the YouTubers, the TikTokers, the Instagrammers, whoever supported this podcast, however, if you followed, if you shared, if you commented, if you saved, however you've supported, I appreciate you guys as well. Thank you so much. Till the next time. Peace.
Thank you, bro. That was fun.